EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martin here with your outlook for February 4th, 2020. After a fantastic day on Monday with plenty of sunshine and very warm temperatures, we're going to have the mild temperatures again today, but we're not going to have the sunshine. Expecting plenty of clouds with a frontal boundary now in the vicinity, and we're expecting this warm front to stay off to our north today, and it'll start to move down to the south overnight as this area of low pressure that's kind of near Arkansas this morning, going to make its way eastward and start lowering these heights. The height field is part of the ridge that gave us the very warm temperatures yesterday, in some cases above 60 degrees in some locations. And today, not quite that warm, but still well in the 50s. Okay, and that will keep that ridge is responsible for that warmth, and that's going to retreat to the south a little bit as these heights lower, and this system moving off to our south, largely to our south, is going to drag those heights downward. And as you see that as this exits, it pulls that front back down south. This is going to set the stage for our next system that's coming in on Wednesday night, which we'll get into in a minute. But we'll have some scattered showers around this morning, and mainly just this morning, though. This is looking at 9 a.m., and this is just an estimate. It won't be exactly like this, but there are some scattered showers in some areas going through the course of the morning. And then that will generally move off by noon or thereabout. So this is mainly just a morning showers deal. And then once we get into the late afternoon, evening, maybe out in central PA, we start getting into some action. This is the frontal boundary starting to move back to the south. So at this point, your frontal boundary is sitting up here like this, and it's going to start moving down like this in the overnight hours. Okay, so you could have a stray shower or some drizzle with that as it moves off to the south. You can see that here, and it's going into the evening. As that front continues off to the south, you see these pinks starting to go down south a little bit. That's because you're getting winds now changing. Instead of coming in from the west, southwest, or southwest, they're going to start coming in from the north. And of course, that's colder air up there. Okay, so that's what's changing you over to some light freezing drizzle. So that would be possible in the overnight hours tonight. And then we're going to get at our next system in a second here. This is going to be this system down here. Once this frontal boundary is off to the south here, we'll have the colder temperatures in place ahead of it. So by the time we get to overnight on Wednesday night, you'll see freezing rain come into the picture. And this is still overrunning precipitation, which means it's colder at the surface. High pressure is up here, supplying some of that cold air, but it's kind of stale cold at this point. So you have a very deep layer of warm air. When I say warm, I mean above 32. So in some cases, about 4,000 or 5,000 feet deep of a layer. So the snowflake starts at about 10,000 feet, starts off as a super cold raindrop, turns into a snowflake, right? Falls down to the level where it's warmer than 32, and then that snowflake melts. It doesn't have time to refreeze before it gets to the ground because it's such a deep layer, 4,000 or 5,000 feet deep. So it just remains rain through that entire warm layer. And then when you get just above the surface, it gets to 32 or 31, something like that. Not very far below freezing, but far enough that when it reaches the ground, and it will freeze on contact. That's where your freezing rain is. Okay, so we are expecting freezing rain, maybe a little sleet far north to start, but I think this is primarily a freezing rain event for our central and northern areas. May actually get down pretty far south to the Pennsylvania Turnpike here, not near Philly, but west of there, down in places like York County, Lancaster County, southern Pennsylvania. Don't count those areas out for the freezing rain possibility. We think that's a possibility there as well, at least initially, as the freezing rain, or as the precipitation starts as freezing rain. It won't last that long there, but you will have at least some freezing rain possibilities even in those areas as well. And but this is all going to change to rain by Thursday morning. Okay, and I think it's some areas far northern areas and maybe some higher elevations might hold on to it to about mid-morning or thereabout. Okay, but this is not going to be an all-day thing here on Thursday, and then we will have this warm air advect to the surface. The ridge builds back into the north. Everything changes over to rain, and you get a decent amount of rain here for potentially through Friday for at least our eastern areas. We'll have to watch how that exactly breaks down, but this low pressure is going to track essentially over top of the area here on Friday. So we're going to have periods of rain continuing, or on and off showers here on Thursday after it changes over to plain rain. Then it picks up on Thursday night and goes into Friday. This is not an all-day deal here on Friday. I think this is going to be improving during the afternoon. But before that, of course, on Wednesday night, we have this the freezing rain coming in that's going to be ahead of this entire system. So this is looking at about 9 p.m. We have some spotty freezing drizzles showing up here in these purples. And then as we go through the evening here, you can see that here's midnight. You can see that progressing northward and increasing in coverage on the 3-kilometer NAM here. But look how far south the freezing rain and drizzle is. It's all the way down here by the Mason-Dixon line. So, and then it increases in coverage as we move through the night. This is 3 a.m. You can see pretty far south, all the way down to the Mason-Dixon line and all along 78 over to Lehigh Valley, points north, all getting into the freezing rain here. But this is not going to last so long. I think it does change over points somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. or thereabout along I-78 from Harrisburg to the Lehigh Valley. It's going to hold on to the up here in the Poconos a little bit longer. This is looking at 7 a.m. on Thursday. You can see it's still hanging on up in these areas here, but it has changed over further south. So we're going to narrow this down a little bit when we get a little bit closer as far as the breakdown of icing and what's expected. But I wouldn't expect a tremendous amount of freezing rain out of this. I think most areas are going to be under 1/10 of an inch, and you're going to have some areas that are between 1/10 and 1/4 inch. We will identify that in map form as we get a little bit closer to that. We're not quite there yet. Once we get past the system on Friday, when everything's completely out of here, of course, it's changing to rain Thursday, and this will remain rain Thursday night. Friday, remaining mild during that period. Then we cool off a little bit over the weekend. We are going to have to watch a little sneaky system over the weekend, Saturday night into Sunday morning. This doesn't look like much, and it really isn't. It's just a weak wave, but this is enough verbatim to produce 2-3 inches of snow. Not a tremendous amount of snow, but look at the areas that are getting hit with it. These are areas that have virtually nothing all year, or pretty close to it. So this would be very welcome for the snow lovers down in those areas if that were to happen. But this is a very weak wave, and it's been modeled to be very weak by the European model GFS, which I'm showing you here. This is the latest run of that. GFS has never been thrilled with this. European model was to some extent last night, but it has lost it with its latest run and kind of went more to this idea with a weaker wave. Canadian was still a little bit more robust, gave more of like a 3 to 6 inch type snowfall, but we'll see. This could turn into something like that where it could be a little bit more. This is on the back burner, though. I want to concentrate on the freezing rain and the icing. That's going to be our shorter-term threat. Once we get past that, we'll see what we're dealing with here for the weekend, and maybe we might get a little surprise thread-the-needle snowfall across parts of the area for the snow-starved. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out, but we have plenty of time to take a look at that. I'm EPA and WA meteorologist Bobby Martich. That is your outlook for February 4th, 2020. Have a great Tuesday.